Hello, Tracy. No, it wasn't a late start. Warhamster was showing me something. So, but we're live now. Mm, man, that was. I uploaded the video for Wingjet to um the Google Drive as well.
Excellent. Wait a minute. What?
What?
Hang on. I've got the wrong YouTube channel. I'm not seeing the live version
Of what?
on YouTube. I'm not seeing it. Hang on.
Hmm. Okay, that's weird.
I'll put the pup away in a little bit.
That is. What the hell?
I'm in here. Yeah, that was a fun interview today. What you got going there, Ron? You're quiet.
I'm trying to find the video.
Which one?
Well, the one right now. Okay, there it is.
What? Tiffany, we were joking around yesterday. I was calling Ron the Grinch that stole Easter. We had a pretty good. we had a pretty good laugh last night on that.
Mm-hmm.
First time I called, I was just cracking up. I was cracking myself up.
It was interesting, isn't it, Tiffany? It's I understand that people think they think they're doing good things, they're it's all about their motive is pure, and you think you're doing right, you think you're being honorable, you think you're doing God's will, and when in reality you're actually doing the exact thing that he commanded not to do. So it's we need to be mindful of those things, I believe.
Have you read the comments in that video yet? Did you get any negative reactions? Because I haven't heard any yet.
I got somebody said I could have chose a better name for it.
Oh, that wouldn't.
But
Be
I thought it was, it was shock value. I get that. It was shock value.
It's all right. There's a time and a place for it. The shock value or not, it fit.
Mm-hmm.
What you're actually it fit your topic.
You said you quit celebrating. What is RSRT? I don't know what that means. Or is that supposed to be Easter and you just got the wrong keys? Okay.
Well, that's closer to Easter. We're getting there.
Yeah. we're still having a little keyboard challenge, Sue.
Take a deep breath, Sue. Take your time. We're all friends here.
Right, exactly. Yes, it does.
I've been typing on a Mac for about a decade now, and I'm still not used to the keyboards. It's so sensitive.
I don't know if you could see this, but my keyboard on my computer is this. So it's like I have the curved. It's not it's not as drastic as those ones that like they split up and they're like a 45-degree triangle. But this one is just enough that I don't have my fingers aren't like this. It's a little bit more like a little more natural. But
So I got my laptop right in front of me. I've got my old laptop to my left, and then I've got the Bloomberg terminal to my right. So I got 3 sets of keyboards, and it's really hard to go for the angle from one to the other. But I am shipping that Bloomberg terminal back.
you know, Tiffany, I don't either. Actually, truth be told, I don't go to church. It's like I don't. I feel like churches are so fake, and I don't mean to say this. I mean to disparage, people of faith. I don't, but I kind of feel like churches, at least in the mega churches, what you get is you get, um, it's more of a, it's like its own little clique, and you're not there to worship. You're there to show everybody what you're doing. It's more of a, it's almost like you're trying to persuade everybody else that you're Christian, as opposed to doing it because you want to study and you want to be better. So, and it's a social gathering. I don't know. I'm kind of jaded about church, but I'm a firm believer in having a relationship with God.
I
Um,
agree with that one on both. Now, earlier today in San Diego, there was a live stream I caught a bit of. There was about, I don't know, 8 to 10 pastors all went to County Board of Supervisors and protesting that, what is that, the AB 2223? That's, I think that's one of the baby killing ones. They all are. But anyways, it was had some pretty good speakers. It's kind of nice to see all the pastors from different denominations all coming together for one cause, though. It was a really big crowd. Apparently, it was one of the bigger events we've had.
I'm gonna expose myself here. Since we're talking about church, but I am what you call a preterist, and a lot of people don't know what that is. And a preterist is somebody, and don't attack me for this because this is what I believe, and it's taken me a long time. It took me a long time to get to this point. But a preterist is somebody who believes that all of the prophecy in the Bible has already been fulfilled, including the second coming. Um, the second coming was actually a localized event around it was around the destruction of Israel and Jerusalem for the purpose of because Israel rejected God. If you look at the apocalyptic language in the New Testament, it's the exact same apocalyptic language in the Old Testament, and it is it's like with the stars falling from the sky and the earth melting and the it sounds like the globe is going to blow up. I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like. And my contention is, and I've done some study on this. My contention is that most Christians actually are they buy into the futuristic rapture theology and whatnot, and what that does is it's like, oh, we just have to let all this evil flourish so God can come back and fix it for us. Jeez, the second coming of Christ is going to come back and the earth is going to be destroyed and we don't have to do anything. And the vast majority of that teaching is really came out of the Schofield Bible and in the mid to late 1800s. And that's when almost that stuff originated. And the Schofield Bible it can trace its lineage back to Khazarians. And what does the Khazarians want us to do? They want us to let them have their way. So anyway, it's just that's kind of a if you guys really want to and if you really want to do some interesting, go look at my Untold History channel And I did a video with a pastor, Dave Curtis, who's out of Virginia Beach, and he has an online church, and he has a very very interesting stuff. But I did a video with him. Said it says, we are not in living in the end times, and it just if you look at the scripture, my humble belief is that people they they are Christians really more believe in tradition, things that have been taught to them over and over and over by people that they trust not to lie to them, so they don't have any reason to believe that they're being lied to, and they accept that as concrete evidence of what is going to happen. They don't read the scripture and marry it up. The thing that I really love about Dave Curtis is he actually teaches from the original text. He teaches from the original Greek and the original Hebrew, and then he also studies, a lot of the periodic literature and the historical literature. Um, and so he has a very well-rounded view of the Bible. So anyway, it's Melissa Red Pills the World. She's okay, but again, she pushes the futuristic second coming, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody who believes that, but I don't believe that that's scriptural. I believe that that's more tradition as opposed to scriptural. So, but I don't criticize people who think that, because it took me a long time to get to that philosophy.
We've got a Nebraskaite in here who is
Oh yeah, that's the Nebraska the Nebraska Navy.
okay. Oh, that's right. So I was asking if she's going
Uh,
to go. I was asking if she's going to go to the Trump rally, which just got announced. She said she hasn't been to one. You absolutely, if you have a chance to go to a Trump rally, do it. You for the next month, you're gonna be 10 pounds lighter. It's like you're walking on air. You're surrounded by thousands of like-minded people, and just everyone's in a great mood. It's contagious. We drove 9 hours from San Diego to Carson City to watch a Trump rally, October 2020, and then 9 hours back through the burning Northern California forests. And it was a tough trip, but it was worth every bit of it. So if you
um,
get the chance to go, do it.
Tracy, I'm going to paste this in the. I'm going to paste the Berean Bible Church is the that's Dave Curtis's church. He's got about 20, almost 25 years worth of sermons on that page. So I just I love Dave. He's actually a Q guy. He preached about Q from the pulpit. He he stood up against Northam and all the mandates and everything that they pushed on the people in Virginia, and he's a truth seeking preacher, which I love, and he's not afraid to talk about politics from the pulpit. He loves Trump. He talks about David X-22, and he does this all from the pulpit. So I mean, not that those are that means that he's end all be all. I'm just saying I really enjoy his teachings, and I love his he another thing that he does is he has an online church, and whenever he gets done with a sermon, he says, "Look, if you disagree with something that I've said, then give me an alternative, because I only care about the truth." And he lets people ask questions right then and there. You can text him. He puts his number out there. I love how he does. I love how he teaches, and he does some really really interesting deep dives on stuff. It's fascinating. It's you probably things of surrounding Christianity that you would never even have thought of. But anyway, yes, Darren. She she's good from a standpoint of she's positive, but again, I'm going to respectfully disagree, because I don't think that the events that we are in now are correspondent to Revelation. and the end times. I don't believe we're in the end times. The end times in the Bible, it talks about there's two ages. There was the Mosaic age, and then the Messianic age, or the age to come. And the age to come is what we are living in now. And the age to, or the Christian age, you there's not three ages, there's two ages. So when the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem was the end of the Messianic age, and then it ushered in the Mosaic, or it ushered in the Christian age, or the church age of the church. If you look at how Jews practice today, they cannot trace their lineage back to the temple, because the temple was destroyed. Everything is gone. And you and again, I firmly believe, actually, so if you look at Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they all have a they all have what's referred to as um, an Olivet discourse. And I believe that the book of Revelation is actually an expanded Olivet discourse of John. But anyway, I'm not arguing with anybody. Please don't take it that way. I'm just I'm being a lot more transparent on this particular issue right now than I normally am, because I get so much grief about it. A lot of people they just really don't like it. They think it's heresy. But again, because it contradicts things that they've been taught all their life.
What else we got going on? Anything exciting news today? Well,
And I'm off that soapbox now.
as I cut you off.
Sorry, it's okay.
Mr. Bible Classes, we're gonna have to start a new channel for you. Any news today? Anything go on?
I don't know, man. I haven't. I got up. Yesterday I started back at the gym, right?
Oh no, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah,
you sore
yesterday.
today?
Yes. Oh, dude, my legs are very sore. Yeah.
Probably. I knew you. I guarantee you overdid it.
Oh,
I would
I
have been.
well, I didn't overdo like strength and weights and stuff like that. But what I have overdone, I think, is I've overdone time. Like
Yeah.
I've done I've done a lot of so the last couple of days, for some odd reason, with the oxygen therapy, when I wake up, man, I'm like wide awake. I can't go back to sleep. And this more yesterday I got up at yeah, I'm not grumpy, Darren. Whatever. uh
Grinch.
I got up at um yesterday I think I got up at like 3, and this morning I got up at like 2:45, and I just go wide awake, just can't, no hope of, no prayer of even trying to go back to sleep. So I just got up and I did some of my oxygen treatment on the treadmill before I went into the gym. So I do like a half hour, 30 minutes, 35 minutes on the treadmill. And it's just walking. It's not like I'm really doing anything strenuous, but I do that before I go to the gym. And then I go to the gym, and this morning I did interval training on the rower. I did 1,500-meter intervals with 20 seconds of rest. That gassed me. And then I did about another 20 minutes on an assault bike. Yesterday I just did some, it was mostly body weight, no real resistance, but I did some air squats and things like that,
No,
just to kind of.
So you're not overdoing it.
Uh-uh.
Yeah, I took a couple months off from doing legs because my hip has been grinding, and it's starting to feel better. So I did legs yesterday pretty hard. I probably overdid it by a little bit, but I was still able to. I'm still walking without pain.
Well, I don't I see. I don't want to overdo it, because I want to do I want to stay in the gym. I want to I want to be consistent. So
no, you got to be smart. You're coming off a long layoff for you. It's gonna 3 weeks you'll be back to able to do anything. But if you just take it one step at a time, baby steps.
My objective is to do is to just build my cardio endurance up. Where's Doug? He said he was going to be on time. He said he was going to be on time. I know, exactly.
It's on time. It's 3:01. And I literally just got out of the pool. So one nice thing about Southern California is I can hit the pool 12 months a year, even though I'm a little bit of a wimp and usually skip December.
Mm.
So Ron, I'm actually spending some time this weekend looking for a new place,
Oh,
and I'll be
really?
moving. Yeah, I'm going to be moving up to 15.
You're gonna stay? Oh, you're gonna be closer to Escondido.
Yeah, probably in that area. I'll see exactly where. There's a couple of moving parts I got to figure out, but there's a lot of options out there, and it's
It's
what 20
cheaper.
20% cheaper, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
get more bang for my buck. It's also warmer. I'm too
Yes, it
cold here at
is.
the coast. It's freezing here.
Does your does your female genitalia hurt?
I've been complaining for about the last 5 years about how cold it is in San Diego in the winter. So that's when you know it's time to go. Well, of course, then again, I wear shorts and t-shirts 99% of the time, so
Guys,
I
we
can't
did
really complain.
we did an interview today with Wayne Jett. It was really fun. It was a lot of fun. It was really interesting.
Yeah, hopefully it's the first of many.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Su- Super nice guy and knowledgeable as all heck. Guy has done his homework. Well, Doug's officially late now. It's a 3:01 hour.
I just texted him. He said we'll be on time to our class, and I give him a thumbs up, and then that was at 1:50.
Okay, let's see if he's got a Dr. Pepper in hand or not. If he's so rushed he doesn't get Dr. Pepper, it means he hit traffic or something.
Well, no, because he had to. I guess he had to do something with his dog. I guess his one of his animals had he had taken to the vet or whatever.
No, Gloria, it's not posted yet. Ron has to do some editing. What do you think? You'll have it up tonight?
Oh, he okay. So did he not say last week that his Reagan address wasn't working?
I've been using the new one.
I haven't. I don't have the new one.
Let me give it to you real quick. What, did he say he didn't find it?
He said he doesn't have he doesn't have an invitation.
All right, let me just forward the one. Let me just forward it then.
Yeah, just forward it to him, and then I'll get his new address.
I already deleted it. Hang on.
Tiffany, that's on mine. Untold History. Yes, I did post it, Gloria. It is, but I don't think it's going to go live until 4 o'clock. Ah, dang it.
Tell Doug it is on its way. That is sent.
What is this? IJI
Yep. I'm sorry. No,
or
it's I.
ILJ?
It's ij.com. Maybe it's IIJ. It's so small I can't even barely read it. Just want me to paste it to you? I just sent it to him.
Send it to me in the chat.
Hang on. Tell him to check the one from me. I just sent it to him.
There he is.
Yeah, I was on time, but I couldn't find a link.
Well, I sent it to your Yahoo address.
I didn't show up there either.
It might be in your um it might be in your
Spam? No, I
spam.
didn't see it there either. Yeah, I was looking all over the place, but that's okay.
Well, why didn't you text me or call
Oh,
me?
because I was still looking. Yeah, about 10 till I started putting up my green screen. I'm like, yeah, I got plenty of time. Where's the link? Where's the link? Hi, everybody.
Hello, Doug.
Always, hey, such is life. I'm not gonna. I've got a doggy that's not feeling good, so and I was gonna take him to the vet, but the vet has I called 3 different vets, and they all have like a 6 to 8 hour wait.
I told you.
So I'm like, I've got some tramadol from the last time the other one was sick. They're about the same weight, so I gave him like a half of that pill, and he's been relaxing ever since. So, so when in doubt, drug your dog up, I guess.
Mm.
But anyway, now I think he has an abscess going on because his complaint is around the jaw area. But anyway, hi everybody, good to see you. Working our way through the Constitution here, and we have made our way to let's see, Article 4. So I got both doggies in the office with me because one's sick and the other one won't leave him. And the one that's not feeling good, he doesn't want to leave me when I'm home. So if you hear barking, that's why.
Well, in that case, I'm
Gotcha.
gonna get my dog back. I'm gonna bring my dog back out if it's barking's allowed today.
Mm-hmm. If you're gonna do that, then I'm gonna get my cat.
It's gonna be Animal Farm again.
Where some animals are less equal than others.
Yeah, just remember, my dogs are more equal than your cat.
Well, let's get going. We're 6 minutes behind.
Yeah, what the heck, man? All right, Article 4. Hi, everybody. Hi, Tracy. Tracy and Sue gave me a special hello. Sue says, isn't Doug in Oregon? No, not yet. I leave Saturday night, like 8:30 our time, to go to Oregon. And then I'll be back Friday night, the, what is that, the 29th? And so I'm going to take, I have a brand new green screen that I bought that's bigger than all my others. I have like a 5x8, and that one that Ron gave me that kind of pulls up, and it's not really wide enough, but it's high enough. This thing's like wider than my room. My room's a 9x9. This office here, this thing's like 10 feet. So I'm going to take that up there to Oregon with me. So I just fold it right now. I don't have it on a roller or anything, but it's good to see you guys. My doggy was crying this morning. A little white doggy, a little foo-foo doggy. Usually when someone knocks at the door, the brown one's barking, and the one that's not feeling good, he's usually hiding under my desk. He's that kind of doggy. And he wasn't feeling good this morning, and he would not have anything to do with anybody but me, and I had to get out the door. It was just something. So I calmed him down and, laid him down. Then I went and came back, and he was excited to see me. Still whimpering a little bit. So I gave him, the last time the doggies weren't feeling good, the other doggy was sick, they gave me some doggy tramadol. And I mean, real little pills. And this guy's slightly lighter than the other one. So I gave him like half a pill, and he's been pretty mellow ever since and relaxing and kicking back. And so he should be good. And then I'm going to take him to the vet tonight when I get back from my other class. So and just do an all-nighter if I have to. I'll take my computer with me. But anyway, that all said, enough about doggies. Let's get to the real pound here and read through the United States Constitution. Now, this class here online, we've been going through article by article. We're still in the original first 7 articles. The first 7 articles were written during the summer of 1787, or ratified in 1788. Then in 1789, the first 10 amendments, which is the Bill of Rights, were out there to the states. It was actually 12 of them. 10 of them got ratified, and in 1791 became the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is a part of the Constitution. The Constitution is the first 7 articles and all of the amendments. So it drives me nuts when people say, well, does your Constitution include the Bill of Rights? Yeah, because it is the part of the Constitution. That all said, Most people think that the Constitution is the preamble and the Bill of Rights, and that's it. They don't realize there's other parts to it. And we're reading the other parts. And Article 4 is about the states. So we have 7 articles. Article 1, legislative branch. Article 2, executive branch. Article 3, judicial branch, which we wrapped up last week. Article 4 is regarding the states. Article 5 is regarding amendments. And then Article 6 is the federal government. And then Article 7 is ratification. So out of those 6 articles, notice the order there. In order of importance, legislature, executive, judicial, states, amendment process, then federal supremacy. All that other stuff comes first. And then when we get into federal supremacy in a couple of weeks, it's not exactly what you might think. But anyway, so Article 4 reads as such. Full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state. And the Congress may, by general laws, prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings shall be proved and the effects thereof. All right, so what this is basically doing, what it's basically saying is this. We have a new union. Prior to the union, the states were individual, unique, different from each other states, sovereign states, their own little countries, and they took care of all their own business. In 1774, they decided to come together to boycott all British products. In 1776, they decided to write a Declaration of Independence, declaring their independence as a whole, as a union. And then in 1777, the first government under the Articles of Confederation. And then now the Constitution. They're a union, they're a country, but we're going to solidify it a little more. We're going to make a more perfect union, remember from the preamble. In other words, a more complete union, as opposed to what was under the Articles of Confederation. Let's get it right this time, sort of saying. And we are a country. Therefore, all of those individual country things we did as states, some of that stuff, we're going to have to change a little because we're now a union. We're now a country. We're now connected to each other. And so there's going to be full faith and credit, meaning, for example, your driver's license might be a California driver's license or an Illinois driver's license or a Florida driver's license, and you decide you're going to travel. And so you're traveling from Florida with your Florida driver's license. You hit the Georgia state line. You don't have to pull over and go to the Georgia DMV to get a new license so that you can drive through Georgia. Full faith and credit. The Georgia recognizes the Florida license as being good enough for you to drive through their state with or in their state with. Now, if you're to move to Georgia, they're going to want you to surrender that old license and get one from their state. But as long as you're a resident of another state, that license is good in any other state. You can drive without having to go to the DMV. Now, the idea is because we're a union now, all of these acts and records and all that are supposed to be recognized. So if you have a degree from a college from one state, that degree should be accepted in any of the states. If you have licensing from one state, supposed to be recognized in another state. However, if you move to that state, they're going to want you to change the licensing over to their state with their own requirements. But if you're a visitor, your licensing still works. It's like when I was in construction and the company I worked for had a license for a contractor's license for the type of work they did in California. We did work in Nevada. We did work in Arizona every once in a while. We didn't have to stop and go get an Arizona contractor's license. The contractor's license from California was accepted. Now, if our company was to move to Arizona, now our physical location would be different. Then we would have to surrender the old license and get the new license. There are some type of professions where they expect you to have licenses in multiple states. That shouldn't be the case, but they do that. But all licenses are supposed to be recognized. Marriage license even. My wife and I got married in Riverside, California. And next week we're going to be in Oregon. We don't have to stop at the Oregon state line to get married. My marriage in California is recognized or is supposed to be recognized in all the states. Now, every state's going to have different rules about marriage. And if I move to Oregon and we're married and they recognize our marriage, their rules regarding divorce might be different. So One state, it might be a no-fault state. Another state might not be. It depends on where your residence is. While your marriage is recognized, how they deal with that marriage or divorce or whatever is going to depend on the rules of each state. They may be different. And it's going to be based on what state you're a resident in. Now, here's the question. Now that I've said all that, why is it that my concealed carry is not recognized in every single state? Of course, I shouldn't even have to get a concealed carry. The Constitution doesn't say you have a right to keep and bear arms as long as you get a license. That's beside the point. But since they've got them, or at least some states have got them, why isn't California saying, okay, we recognize such and such states? Go ahead and carry.
Because California is full of Marxists, and they don't want you to have guns and be able to defend yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's unconstitutional then. Now, of course, even requiring a gun permit really it goes against our natural rights. Our natural rights is we have a right to keep and bear arms.
Mm-hmm.
Why should I have to go get a permit in order to do it?
Now, Doug, you sound
I have a privilege to drive. I have a privilege to drive on the freeways, so I need a license. But I have a right to keep and bear arms.
But Doug, you've made the argument that California has the right to.
Sure, it's still a right though. You still have that right. They have authority to make laws, but it's still my right. It doesn't stop being my right because it isn't written down on paper, right? You're right. California. I know what you're going at. Let's address that real quick, even though we're not on the first, or we're not on the Second Amendment. Second Amendment applies to the federal government. Shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. But when it comes to our rights, states do have certain allowances to make laws regarding our rights because it's a local issue. Now that said, I still have the right to keep and bear arms. That's a right. It's not because it's in the Bill of Rights. It's not because it's in the Constitution. It's because I have that right.
It's a natural right. It's a natural right given to me by God.
Right. So while California may be able to make some laws, at what point have they gone too far? And they're in the wrong, and it's really unconstitutional. Or how about ungodly? It's against my natural rights for them to do that. So, okay, I'm okay with the fact that my granddaughter can't go buy a gun. I'm even okay with the fact that in some states they want to do a background check. I'll go with that. I'm not saying I prefer that, but if a state wants to do it, that's their business from a constitutional standpoint. Personally, I don't like it, but if one state wants to do it, so be it. I don't want the federal government doing it for sure. But at what point have they gone too far?
Background checks are too far.
At what point is it too far when a state says, well, we don't want this group, or this group to own guns, so we're going to do a background check.
Background checks are too far. Background checks are too far.
You think background checks are too far?
I think background checks are too far because it doesn't say there's no such thing as prohibited possessors. You can't be a prohibited possessor. So
I'm not disagreeing with you.
So if you can't be a prohibited possessor,
but if a state wants to do that, should a state be able to?
But what? Okay, but let me rephrase. If you're doing a background check, hang on. If you're doing a background check, you are insisting that there are certain individuals who cannot have a weapon, and who decides that?
Right.
State. So they are a prohibited possessor.
You are infringing.
Yes. Right. Okay. So here's a question. Here's a question then. Some states, though, the people are different than other states. The people say, we're totally okay with it. We voted in. We want it in our state. What do you think?
The Constitution does not. I'm
not talking about the Constitution. I'm talking about at the state level here.
Well, states have constitutions too, and typically the state constitution is all. I mean, now in California, I will freely admit that.
Yeah, there ain't crap in the California.
There's nothing protecting. Yeah, I get it.
Conservative Cowboy says he believes 25 states now have constitutional carry. I believe so. And some of the and also was before all that constitutional carry stuff, there were a bunch of states that did allow reciprocity when it came to certain gun permits from concealed carry permits from certain states. I know a friend of mine who had a Florida concealed carry, and it was accepted in like 36 states.
Yeah, Darren just said that his permit is reciprocated in 32.
Okay.
So, Doug, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
What happens when two states have laws that completely contradict each other? How are they able to what's the word they're using here? Give
In
each
what
other
way?
full faith. Oh, you want an
Well,
example?
okay, let me rephrase that. Okay, so the laws contradict each other, and let's use guns as an example. And one says
Let's
if you're
find
going
one
to have,
besides guns.
I'm sorry.
Let's do one besides guns.
All right, let's go back to driver's license.
One state says you got to be 16 years old to drive. The other one says 14. So the 14-year-old can't drive in the other state. That makes sense.
Right. Accept the license, but you can't drive until you're of the age. Well, it depends, I guess. I haven't really thought about that. That's a good question. Now
It's a
I
very
have to
good
think
question.
about that. That's a good one. I hadn't thought about that. Well, let's put it this way. All right, let's try a different one. In Alabama, I'm gonna pick on Alabama, even though I love Alabama, but I'm gonna pick on it because in the South people like to pick on it. Let's say they decide that the ability to get married, you can decide to get married at 14, and so Joe Bob marries Ginny Mae. She's
Is that his
14,
cousin?
he's 20.
Is that his
And
cousin?
they move to California where you got to be 16 or 17 or 18 or whatever it is in order to say you're married. Is that marriage license accepted? Yes. Because even though the age for marriage is older in California, that marriage license is still acceptable, and so they're still considered married. However, if it comes to divorce, if they move to that state, what happens to to divorce? She may not be entitled to everything because she's technically under the age.
There's actually a thing called divorce tourism. I've got a former client who's
I've heard of that.
Ex moved. I think it was Tennessee or someplace like that. It had much easier divorce laws from California. They established a resident for 6 months, filed for divorce, and kept a lot more of his stuff than he would have in California. So that does actually exist. I've seen it firsthand. The other fun one, Doug, is in my industry. Let's say somebody gets their Series 7 securities license in California. Well, they've got to get a California license as well. Now they get a client in Arizona. They then have to get licensed in Arizona. They have to do it with every state.
Yeah,
they have
I mentioned earlier, there's some industries where they do that. You got to be licensed every state to do work. I don't think that's right. I think that your California license should be accepted. Or do you disagree? Agree? Well, and not from a constitutional standpoint, from a professional standpoint in the industry. Is that good or bad?
Well, the history of it, the reason it's there makes a lot of sense, and it has to do with the old blue sky laws, where we find, for example, when you're registering a corporation, a lot of people go do that in Delaware because they basically allow you to get away with anything.
Delaware, Wyoming.
Yeah, you can get away with anything. Yeah, you can get away with it. You've never set foot in Delaware. You could do no business in Delaware, but you registered there. Mm-hmm. That's a little sketchy, but I would take advantage of it, and I have.
Yeah, no, my nonprofit is a Wyoming corporation. Because at the time it was the best one. Either we didn't know about Delaware, or at the time Wyoming was edging out Delaware or close to the same. But when we did a lot of research, but yeah, we shopped where to incorporate. And once you're incorporated, you're good all over. Now, some states though are going to have a tax each year that they want you to pay, and a form they want you to fill out in order to do business in their state, depending on what it is. Like what you're talking about, your industry. In the case of the nonprofit, it's not necessary. But if I want to show up on certain lists that people like, that makes them feel good about the nonprofit, that it's showing up on the list, then I want to pay that tax. Right now, the only list that we show up on is the IRS's list, because we haven't, gone out of a way to, reach out and all that. We are a nonprofit. We are acceptable nonprofit. But you got to go to the IRS site in order to look us up. But we can't operate anywhere we want. We can have satellites wherever we want. So yeah, it's interesting, and that really is full faith and credit. That's the way it's supposed to work with everything. But then the question is, should it? And if it shouldn't, then should we amend the Constitution for those industries where it shouldn't? Like yours. So that's my point. Well, so while I was getting into guns, I wasn't trying to argue about guns. I'm just wanting to, get you to understand.
I know
the way it's supposed to be, and what it is isn't always the same.
I didn't take it that way.
Okay.
Well, so Doug, here's just to
Because
follow
I
up
could
on
hear the
that.
clicking noise in the background. You know, I thought I was gonna get shot. But anyway.
No, that was aiming at your dog.
Oh, those are fighting words.
So this is a little bit off topic, but it kind of led into it. The SEC, which regulates my industry, that's not. There's nothing
Do
in
they
the
have the
Constitution.
authority?
Should they even have an SEC?
No, there's no authority. Well, the question is, when you say should, constitutionally there shouldn't, because there's no authority. But should there? Is it good for the industry?
Well, it was good for the reason it came into play is because the Wall Street bankers had absolutely destroyed everybody with the Great Depression. They yanked the rug out from under the market on purpose.
So do you think that centralized agency regulating the industry is a good thing?
Okay, so
I'm asking the man in the industry first.
Exactly, yes. Let's ask him.
It's an interesting question because it does a lot of good. It keeps my industry more reputable. But do I think they actually have a constitutional right to exist?
Well, they don't have the constitutional right, but then the question is it an important enough thing that there should be an amendment giving the federal government the authority to have that agency?
Well, in this particular case, the federal government was going to put it in good order. We had an industry and a marketplace that was out of order, so they had the ability to put it in good order. Did they do it the right way? Was there another avenue or another vehicle to use? I don't know.
And the question is, once it's in good order, should they continue to poke and prod and all that?
Well, in good order would have to have state laws that were pretty much uniform, and they could have state regulation of it. But it's interesting because it is a.
So it seems like, and we're not off topic as much as you guys think. Chat room, bear with us here. This is all about full faith and credit, and because this idea is we're a country now. And remember, the founding fathers, they messed it up the first time with the Articles of Confederation. They're like, oh, we got to fix this. So they wrote this Constitution, and nothing's perfect because times change. They may have not have thought of everything. That's why there's an amendment process. Okay, so here we were talking about the SEC, which is the what's it stand for? The
Securities and Exchange Commission.
Okay, Securities Exchange Commission. So, and this is basically federal regulatory agency over securities and that industry. So the question is, should that fall under full faith and credit, or should there be an amendment? Because here's the problem. The federal government, but seeing the importance of them having a say in uniformity and so forth, just took it upon themselves to create this agency, assuming the power. That was wrong. That's unconstitutional. That's against the law. That does not mean they should not maybe have it from a realistic point of view of how the industry runs. From a pragmatic point of view, maybe they should. But the question is, if they should, then should they not go through the process of obtaining that authority? That's my point. And so now the discussion is, does it fall under, it's unconstitutional because there's no authority. Should it be constitutional? If so, then there needs to be an amendment. And the question is, should it be constitutional? And there's kind of a discussion here on that because so if it should be constitutional, I would think it should be the way the original intent of the Commerce Clause would be, which is as long as things are going okay, none of your business. But the moment there's a problem and it needs to be put in good order, there's a dispute or something of that nature that needs to be mediated, then the federal government has the authority to then step in, mediate so that all parties involved come to a mutual agreement. And then once that's reached, then they step out of the way again and let it do its thing. Does that seem reasonable, Warhamster?
I could live with that.
Okay.
What we don't want to see.
So you and I have an amendment to propose.
We've got a few.
Got a few. First, we got to repeal the 17th Amendment. But anyway.
Amen to that.
Yeah. But the point is, because we're talking about full faith and credit, that's why this is an important conversation. And I'm hoping the overall here, now everybody's going, okay, now I kind of get it. Hopefully. Okay, Warhamster, go ahead and wrap up what you're going to say. I'm interested.
I already did. I'm done.
Okay. Ron, did you have anything to add to that?
Only that that government institutions, government regulatory bodies are not there for the protection of the people. They are there for the protection of the monopoly of the institutions themselves.
Typically, yes.
And I would say,
and the argument's typically the opposite.
Yeah, they say.
I would say the intent. I would say the intent of the SEC is actually some of the best legislation that came out of FDR's. Glass-Steagall Act was a good thing. The Securities Act of 1934 was a good thing. It protected a lot of people over the last century. Now, what happened is we got regulatory capture as the institutions got bigger and bigger. They, basically we had the revolving door, and the SEC is now completely corrupted and it's not serving its original mission. For the most part, they still do a lot of good work, but it's a mixed bag.
I'm going to respectfully disagree on that. Ask all the XRP holders if they feel protected when.
Well, no, then you just agree. You just agreed with me while saying you're disagreeing. I said there's times when they get the regulatory capture, but there's other times like I get daily emails showing all the dirty brokers and advisors out there that got caught trying to swindle people. The SEC still catches those people. That's a good thing. When they get the regulatory capture with things like XRP, don't get a fair shake, that's a problem, because that's
when they say when it trades for 8 years and they're basically completely transparent with them, and then on the very last day of Jay Clayton's status, he files a lawsuit against them. Yeah. Anyway, I'm bent. Shoot the rabbit.
Yeah.
Shoot the rabbit.
In this conversation, real quick, a side note. What you'll notice, because Ron Partain remembers a cat lover, and you'll notice that cat nuggets may be bigger, but hamster pellets are more precise and carefully placed. So, all right.
I love you, brother.
Only War Hamster realized that was a compliment to him. But all right, so full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public act records and judicial proceedings of every other state, and the Congress may by general laws prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, proceedings shall be proved and the effects thereof. Now that's interesting. So now, because Congress does have this authority to, well, just in case things are going awry, we have this authority to, use legislation to, make sure they're on the right track. Maybe there's a certain uniformity or whatever. So then that brings up this question. Is the Real ID constitutional?
I don't believe so. Because Real ID is basically the federal government taking over the identification process from the states.
Okay, but here it says when it comes to records and acts and things like that, the Congress may, by general law, prescribe the manner in which those things are proved. So they could say, okay, well, we're not taking it over. Here's how we want them all to be uniform with this one thing. And in the past, they've done that. They all need to have your name, your age, your date of birth, and so on and so forth. So why is the real, and I don't have a Real ID, by the way, to give you my attitude towards it. So at what point does Real ID, if it's unconstitutional, where did it cross the line? Because it's not about an identification. If it was about identification to make sure the manner of the identification was properly in the proper manner and uniform, that's one thing. But what it's doing is it's using identification to do something totally different. And that something totally different is facial registry for one. So yes.
Every time you go,
aren't you happy now that you're a part of a facial registry?
Yeah, the
fact that the Chinese companies are helping cities put in surveillance cameras all over their cities at the same time we're getting these Real ID facial registries shouldn't concern you at all, right?
I don't remember when it was, but it's. I think it was in it was within the last 15 to 20 years. When you go to the DMV to get your picture taken, it used to be they would just take a picture with a camera. Now, right. I mean, it's still a camera, but the apparatus that they do it's like a digital camera, and it's a big, like bulky and sophisticated camera. Because what it's doing is it's taking, it's doing facial recognition. It's incorporating facial recognition in your photograph.
I'm half expecting on the upper corner of the device, there's a little Facebook logo, and then the bottom right corner says "Made in China." But
right.
But
I
yeah,
think-
no, you know, I do have a license. Oregon was one of the states that actually held out the longest on Real ID. And while Real ID now is available in all states, if you look it up, it's not a requirement. You are not required to have a Real ID. But if you want to get on a plane or if you want to do certain things,
You have to have a federal ID
you better either have a Real ID
or a passport.
or a federal ID or passport.
I'm of the belief that the big tech has every single one of us already in their database down to the last pimple on your nose. There's not a whole lot you can do
I got
about it.
fingerprinted and DNA'd when I was in the Navy, and that was even a long time ago, and they've got all those records. So,
Yep.
So I'm not under any, you know, so when it comes to Real ID, I'm not under any, you know, foolish thoughts that I'm not in their system. I am.
Well,
I don't get the Real ID kind of on principle.
California began compiling a DNA database, I want to say in 1982. If you were born in California after 1982, your DNA is in the system, period.
Well, there goes my kids.
Oh.
Yeah, my kids were born in 85 and 90. So there you go. Colt Browning says Real ID is only for national flights. Yeah, that's what they're saying right now.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Here's why I'm kind of glad we brought this up, because one of the things that I'm dealing with right now, that I'm battling locally, and in fact, at my next Constitution Association monthly meeting, the city council member that's kind of broke this story to the public is going to be our guest speaker. Her name is Jessica Alexander, and in Temecula, their first wave of cameras that they installed in the city was 483. They're now up to a couple thousand. The company is Convergent. If you look up Convergent, which is this is see, I'm trying to remember now see if I've got it here. I've got it somewhere. But anyway, Convergent, Convergint, is tied to another company, and it's a something ISD or IDC or ICD or something like that, securities. But if you look up Convergent, you'll find the securities. And if you go to that securities sites page, you have the choice in language, English or Chinese. And so the evidence shows that the company that had the cheapest price for surveillance cameras throughout Temecula is connected to China. So I started doing a little investigating, and yesterday at a breakfast meeting that I was attending, a lawyer, gentleman who's a frequent visitor to this meeting, says, "Hey, I did the research on Convergent and I think it's ID something securities." And he says, "They're not connected to China." I'm sorry? Well, that's because that's what they said. I did the research. Yeah, and if they're connected to the Chinese Communist government, they're going to tell you an honest truth, right? Yeah. Are people that daft?
Yes.
The enemy's going to be honest with you. Don't worry. They'll be honest. They won't lie to you. It amazes me. Anyway, so, and I asked Jessica a couple days ago, I said, are there others? Do you have a list of the cities that in the country that are also doing the same thing? She says, no, but it's a large number. I'll see if I can get it for you. So I am working on the research right now for that. And once it becomes available, I'll let you know. I tell you what, man, there's stuff going on in this country that makes you nervous. But on the same token, there's stuff going on in this country also that's making me not so nervous. And what I mean by that is that we have an awakening going on in this country. Of course, the other side's pushing as hard as they can. Of course, they're trying to do as much as they can when it comes to surveillance and so on and so forth. Of course, they're doing all of that. Why? Because they know the end might be near, and they need to get as much in place as they can, so it's harder for us to dismantle it. And this is serious stuff. But on the same token, I'm feeling pretty optimistic because I do believe that there is a chance for us to get things turned around. ICD Security is the company. I just finally found it. ICD Security and Convergent. And the lawyer says, well, they're not really connected. Then why is Convergent's logo on the bottom right-hand side of ICD Security's website if they're not connected? But anyway, so that's kind of stuff that's going on. And Full Faith and Credit now, getting back to the whole point. So when it comes to the Real ID and all of this stuff, should we have a federal agency in charge of it? Yes, no, maybe so, depending on what it is. I mean, we talked about the SEC a moment ago, didn't we? All right, now let's continue. Good conversation, though. Glad we had.
Yes.
All right, Section 2. Citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. In other words, citizens are to be treated the same under the law in all states. Is illegal aliens included in that sentence?
Nope.
I don't see it.
I don't see that. It says citizens. Devolution. Conservative Cowboy said, but devolution. I have read much of it. I haven't finished it all. So Conservative Cowboy, I can't give you a proper educated opinion at the moment because I haven't finished reading it all and really studying it. So I hate to give a non-answer. It's not like I'm trying to escape it. I literally just have not given it the proper time and attention that it requires. And so I don't want to say something that is based on me not having knowledge about it. But
I would actually say that continuity of government is not constitutional because it's extra constitutional. But what they're doing with the devolution is they're using the continuity of government and FEMA against them. They're using their own rules against them.
Colt's like, what? You haven't studied it yet. Hurry up, man. Hurry up, Doug. He's just.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Ron and I have probably read through Devolution at least twice each.
And, yeah, you guys are much more.
Well, then I know John. I've actually talked to John. I met John. So
yeah, it's
what's up, Patriot?
That's it. You know, Conservative Cowboy. We touched on this stuff a little bit on that interview we did today with Wayne. That's Jet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's definitely a believer that there is something going on with the continuation of government, or what was the term he used today, Ron? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I don't think he used continuity of government, but continuity of government is a real thing, and the devolution series is Patel Patriot speculation based on a lot of information that he has combed through, and I think he's on to something. I believe he's on to something there, and it is of all the potential scenarios that are out there. I think that makes the most sense in terms of. Oh, I know what he was talking about. He was talking about the Insurrection Act that Trump had signed, the Insurrection Act, and I'm going to respectfully disagree with him on that.
I don't have the evidence behind it, so I'm not going to say he did, but I am going to respond to one more thing in the chat room before we continue on. Tracy said something very interesting. Big Brother / all-seeing eye. And that's a very fascinating comment, and here's why. The all-seeing eye was on the original U.S. seal. That said, the all-seeing eye to the founding fathers was not an all-seeing government. It was the eye of God overseeing his creation. That was their version of the all-seeing eye. That's why they had the all-seeing eye, which, by the way, is on the back of your $1 bill. That's from the Great Seal that the founders came up with. That all-seeing eye originally intentionally meant the all-seeing eye of God, that God sees all, that he's watching over us and all of that. That's what the founders meant by including the all-seeing eye on the Great Seal. Over time, that all-seeing eye has shifted due to the lexicon and other influences to mean also or instead the all-seeing eye of government, Big Brother. And so now that gets us back to those cameras. Who does government think they are? Well, they want to be God. They are trying to make themselves the all-seeing eye that the founders saw God as being.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with you on that, Doug, but that's okay. We can still be friends.
Well, I've got writings by guys. I'll have to get you my stuff.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, because I know what they meant because they said it. But that's okay. I'll find what I've got for you. Because I would hate for us to be respectfully disagreeing when I know I've got evidence.
Yeah, but okay.
And I love you, brother. I love you.
We'll talk about
that you love cat nuggets. I mean cats.
I don't eat cats.
No, but my dogs do like to eat cat nuggets.
Okay,
it's gross. But anyway, yeah. You ever notice that for dogs, like a cat box is like a
no. Don't go there, Doug. Don't go there.
Yeah.
Don't go there.
Don't worry, buddy. I won't do that to you.
Yeah. We don't have cats anymore, so the dogs we have now have no clue. Conservative Cowboy said, Doug is right. Colt Browning is on top of that, too. But most were Masons. But Masonry was also seen differently back then. I want to have a conversation about Masonry, but today's not the day.
Okay.
But we're going to have a Freemasonry conversation soon.
We need that. We should have an off-topic conversation. We should have an off-topic.
Well, when we get to the end of the Constitution, let's do that.
Yeah,
because here's why. My first book was 25 Myths of the United States Constitution. My second book is the Basic Constitution, which is going through the Constitution line by line. And everybody said, great stuff, Doug, but I really want to talk about this concept. You really didn't go into it enough. So my third book is Concepts of the United States Constitution. So here's my recommendation. After we're done with going through the Constitution here, let's have a Concepts of the Constitution series of shows before we start over on the Constitution. So let's do one on Freemasonry.
Let's do that. I think that's on birthright. I think that's a fantastic idea.
I'm just looking at my chops.
Studying. All right,
I'm just looking at my chops in anticipation.
Stuck up here somewhere. A lot of it's stuffed up here, and I just can't remember the dates or the names. I know the basics. It's like the Bible. I know it's in the Bible, but I don't always remember the verses. But anyway,
what book, Colt? What book, Colt? Text me or share what book.
Well, Colt, one of these days I'll get in my version of the Khazarians and what where their place is in this grand scheme of things, and it's a little different than probably what most of the proponents are saying right now. I think there's another faction that's pulling a few more strings, and that might be one level above the quote-unquote Khazarians. Totally different conversation for another day.
Yeah, maybe we'll call, like our episode on the Khazarians, we'll call it the Khazarian Coffee Party.
Just
join and have a cup.
Call it the Great Rabbit Hunt.
The Great Rabbit Hunt. Put Elmer Fudd on the logo.
Kill the
Where
wabbit.
are we? Section 3?
Kill the wabbit. Kill the wabbit. All right. Article 4, Section 2 still. We are on the second paragraph of Section 2. Thank you, Ron, for trying to get us back on track. A person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime who shall flee from justice and be found in another state shall, on demand of the executive authority of the state, that would be the governor, from which he fled, be delivered up to be removed to the state having jurisdiction of the crime. Once again, used to be independent countries, now we're a union. So guess what? Extradition between states is now a thing because we're all one country. We're a union. So yeah, you may have committed a crime in Virginia, thought you could start all over in Mississippi. Guess what? You're going to be sent right back to Virginia to answer to your crimes.
Well, so but can
so
yeah,
Dukes of Hazzard is a bunch of bull.
What's that?
Go ahead. Dukes of Hazzard is a bunch of bull. You're not suddenly free once you get outside the county or outside the state. And there is something that's faster than
No,
you,
but you
called
have
the
to.
radio.
But it does have to. You do have to go through the legal process of
Well, sure, there's
extradition.
jurisdiction and all that, right?
Yeah.
And but that's why there's a radio and phones and
Can
computers.
can states deny extradition
No,
for any
it says
reason
so
at
right
all?
here. It says so right here. It says a person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime. In other words, any crime. Who shall flee from justice and be found in another state shall, on demand of the executive authority, of course, has to be called down by the governor's office, but shall, on demand of the executive authority of the state from which he fled, be delivered up to be removed to the state having jurisdiction of the crime. So no, a state can't say no. Constitution says so.
Since that's usually done by the U.S. Marshal Service, or quite often, is that a constitutional outfit?
It's a constitutional outfit, but it's not their authority to do it. I would think it would be the state police, meeting the state police at the state line or something like that. I remember one time I was in San Diego County, and my truck was stolen. And I noticed the people trying to steal my truck. So I ran up my truck to stop them, and they hit me with my truck and then drove off. So I actually was involved as a victim of a hit and run by my own vehicle. And we had to get home. And so the sheriff, rather than us catching a bus to get home, the sheriff gave us a ride all the way to the Riverside County line, at which time they were in touch with another sheriff's deputy from Riverside County. They dropped us off at the county line, and then we got in the Riverside County sheriff. So even when dropping us at home, they couldn't cross the line to take us home because of jurisdiction. I thought that was interesting way back when. I mean, we're talking 89, I think it was, 90 when that happened. But so jurisdiction is a big deal, but they hand off the baton just as easily as anybody. So while there is a jurisdiction at the edge of these jurisdictional limits, the handoff is actually fairly easy. When it comes to extradition, there's no choice. State don't have a choice. They have to give the person up. If the governor's office says this person committed a crime in the state, they're in your state, send them to us. The state that has them is required constitutionally to deliver him up to the state requesting. Whether or not it should be the marshal actually doing the transporting, I'm not. What if the governor refuses? Then he should be removed from office for violating the Constitution. That's Conservative Cowboys question.
I got one for you. What if you get a Ron Partain type person who's committed crimes in multiple states, and more than one state is requesting extradition?
Well, it depends. Is it regarding XRP or no? I'm kidding. That's a good question. I don't know the legal answer. I would think that it would be an order of commission. So the oldest crime, the state where the oldest crime was committed would probably get first whack. That would be my thinking. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, well, because I think its possession is 9/10 of the law. So if I committed a crime in one state, even though it was after another crime and they had me, then they're going to prosecute me.
And you can have them when we're done slapping them around.
Right. And then when that's done, then the two states.
That seems reasonable too. Once again, I don't know for sure, but
I know they do.
But
I know they do
some first state crime committed, so he's kind of agreeing with me. And I'm just going off of what I think. I really don't know on that. So I'm just
not that I'm using television as a guide on that, but I mean I've seen enough Law and Order episodes, and Law and Order actually is very, very close to Law and Order. That doesn't come from me. Actually, I have friends in the justice system, and they say that of all the TV shows out there, Law and Order, even though it was the closest representation of how things would go down. Not necessarily.
And then after his friends are done talking, then Ron says, "Chung chung." Whatever.
No, I didn't say that.
All right. Anyway, Uncle Jesse, we're going to keep reading here. So next part in brackets. Hey, you can open yourself up. I'm gonna get you. You got the hair.
I didn't say that. I was just passing along what was told
Your
to
hair's
me.
the right color for Uncle Jesse, but it's too short. You need to have the,
Okay. The two people who did it, one was a judge and the other one was a prosecuting attorney. And they both said that of all the TV shows out there, that Law and Order was the closest representation. So
I'll have to ask my wife if that's true, because she's the one that watches that show. I don't.
Yeah.
All right. In brackets on Article 4, Section 2, no person held to service or labor of one state under the laws thereof, escaping into another, shall in consequence of any law or regulation therein, be discharged from such service or labor, but shall be delivered up on claim of the party to whom such service or labor may be due. What echoes that is the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. There's another Fugitive Slave Act earlier also. And then also Dred Scott. Now, Dred Scott went a little further and said that if you're black and you've ever been a slave, you'll never be a citizen. But that was what actually sparked a lot of what the abolitionist movement and towards the war and all that jazz. But that was a big deal. But what's in the Constitution is, if you're enslaved, you are considered a person to whom you owe service and labor to somebody. Just because you escaped and went into a state that does not have slavery as its law does not mean you're free. You must be delivered up to the party who you owe that labor and service to. Now, it says at the bottom of the page, as Tracy has pointed out, changed by the 13th Amendment. In other words, slavery no longer exists. So that is why there's brackets around that. It's now null and void. So now, while the Constitution does not necessarily condone slavery, it recognizes that slavery existed, and extradition of escaped slaves was entered into the Constitution. That's what we have here. Right, wrong, in between. You can argue that's proof that they're a bunch of racist bastards. The 168 words of anti-slavery language from the Declaration, the 3/5 clause, real reason behind it, the Article 1, Section 9, 1808 decision to outlaw the Atlantic slave trade. That all tells me differently, but hey, if you want that one on this one, go for it. All right, continues. Article 4, Section 3, new states may be admitted by the Congress into this union. It is up to Congress whether a state becomes a new state. But no state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor any state formed by the junction of two or more states or parts of states, without the consent of the legislatures of the states concerned, as well as of the Congress. So, like, for example, there's this New California idea out here.
Not going to happen.
California, to split into two, would have to not only convince Congress it's a good thing, but also Sacramento, because it's a part of an existing state. Sacramento will never allow for it. Now, Paul Preston, who is running New California and is actually a longtime acquaintance of mine, I don't know if I should say friend per se, but acquaintance. We call each other. He's in my phone. One time he called me. I was on my way to Oregon, and I laughed because I was in the San Francisco area where, it's wacky doodle. But and I told him, it's not going to work. He says, "Oh, but we have the New Jersey model." I'm not New Jersey. I'm sorry, West Virginia model.
Virginia.
And I said, "Well, the West Virginia model doesn't work." He says, "Yeah, it will. All we got to do is do it judicially." That's not what the West Virginia model says. In order for the West Virginia model to work, California would have to secede from the Union.
Right.
The reason why West Virginia was able to secede from Virginia without getting permission from the state capital legislature to join the Union is because Virginia had left the Constitution. They had seceded. They were no longer a part of the contract. They were outside. They were no longer a state under the Union of States under the Constitution. Therefore, they could secede, and if the 13 counties did, then they applied back to the Union and were accepted, interestingly enough, as a slave state.
So I mean, I still don't understand why they're persisting with that. Are they persisting with it because they think that California is acting in rebellion to the United States? Is that their argument? Even though they actually haven't seceded, California is acting in rebellion.
Their argument, and they think they can do it judicially. And my response is, unless California actually secedes, it's not going to happen.
Okay. I'm glad you said that, because that was my initial, that was my thought, that was the avenue they were trying to go down.
Yeah, but unless California actually secedes, it's no good. It's not going to happen.
Article
All right.
3.
And I would love to see that, though. Wouldn't it be crazy if California seceded and then New California seceded, and then even if California seceded, then what do you do with the Navy base in San Diego and all the other military bases?
All right, so this is one of my favorite conversations I had of basically since November 3rd, 2020, is all the people talking about seceding, most of the time spelling it wrong, but secession is.
Yeah, they say succeeding. Yeah,
I've seen some pretty creative ones. Now, secession is not the solution with the states, and they go, well, we just can't live with these leftists anymore. We need to split. We need a national divorce. Okay, great. Who gets the nukes? Who gets the debt? Where's the military go? You think you're going to have an amicable conversation about that with Nancy Pelosi?
I hate to say this, Hamster, but you sound like Alexander Hamilton. But he was right.
Well, the thing is,
he said if there's debt, it will keep the union together because states won't want to leave because they'll have to pay their part of the debt.
Well, there shouldn't be debt, so I don't sound like him.
He just
don't ever.
He's offended. That. He's offended that you included his name with Alexander Hamilton.
Well, even a broken clock could be right twice a day. I mean, Hamilton, not you, Warhamster.
Well, the funny, do you really want to live in a country, sit on the border with Nancy Pelosi's got nukes, right across your border? It's not going to happen. The secession is not a reality.
Well, if California was to secede, all of the constitutionally minded individuals, in other words, our allies, would leave. California then would outlaw guns, continue to starve their farms of water, and they'll wind up hungry and unarmed, and then we just come back and take it over.
Mm-hmm. I had a good friend of mine who said, what we ought to do is we ought to let the left have a few states that they want and let them run them into the ground, and then we'll come back and buy it back in 10 years when they're all starving. I thought that was a fantastic idea. Yeah, let them go. Let them do their thing.
If they do that, if Sacramento were to secede, New California is a real thing, and I'm going to be pushing for San Diego and Imperial Valley to join Arizona.
No, I think Riverside County would be right in there on that fight as well.
You guys are invited. We like you.
Anyway, we're at 4:02.
All right.
Are we going to try to finish
someone in the chat room?
Are we going to try to finish this today?
She emailed me, checking if she got the email address correct. Douglas V. Gibbs, my name. You can see it there on the screen. No spaces, no dots, at ILJ.com. ILJ standing for I Love Jesus. If you send it to Reagan.com, I'll probably get it because I kept that going, but I'm forwarding all my emails from it to ILJ, but some of them do wind up just vanishing, and I don't know why, because Reagan's kind of nuts now. That's why I moved away from it. If you send it to one of my Yahoo addresses, I just may not have gotten to it yet, because those I don't check every day. My ILJ I do. So that's the answer, Lisa. Douglas V. Gibbs at ILJ.com would be the best place to send me an email.
Doug, are we trying to finish Article 4 today?
I was gonna try, but we'll wrap it up next week. That's fine. Okay. I'll be in a good mood because I won't be here.
Okay.
I'm not touching that one.
Well, thanks everybody.
So it's good.
Thanks
to see
everybody.
You guys. And we'll see you next week.
Yes, that's kind of a flat ending, guys.
Yeah, it's a flat ending. Well, you know what too is I went to grab a pen. I touched my wire work from my microphone and my speakers, and suddenly everything sounds clearer. Wish I would.
Doug, why don't you give your normal?
I'm sorry.
Why don't you give us your normal? Why don't you give us your normal sign off?
United we stand, combined we kick butt. God bless America, my friends. God bless you. We'll see you next week.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. See you, everyone.
All right, guys. Everybody, see you next week. Lord willing.